Welcome to Quick Bite, your fast and friendly Florida insurance update.
Hello. This is Rashonda, agency owner of the ISOM Insurance Group here in the Sunshine State of Florida. Welcome back to another Quick Bite episode, your fast and informative insurance market update. Today is Saturday, June 20th, 2026, and it's been a while since we've had a video out. Earlier this year, we were following the Florida legislative session, following all the bills that dealt with the insurance market. Unfortunately, I did not get an opportunity to record a video to recap the end of the legislative session. So now we're going to do that in this video. We will discuss the insurance bills, property tax proposals, consumer protection measures, and workforce initiatives that could impact Florida homeowners, drivers, business owners, and insurance professionals. Now that the regular session has ended, the special session has concluded, and several major bills have either passed or failed. I thought this would be the perfect time to step back and look at the bigger picture. Today's episode is part one of our legislative wrap up series. Again, we did not get to do this at the beginning of the year. I apologize for that, but now we're going to get back into it. We're going to focus on the bills that directly affect Florida consumers, homeowners, property taxes, and the future insurance workforce. And trust me, some of these outcomes were not what lawmakers expected back in January. In fact, one of the biggest stories of the entire year was technically dead in March and somehow came back to life in June. Only in Florida can a bill be dead, revived, rewritten, and then sent to voters in just a few months. Let's get into it. The property tax battle that refused to die. If you watched our legislative updates throughout the beginning of the year, you know the property tax discussion dominated much of the session. At first, lawmakers were considering two different approaches. One proposal would have provided a large exemption specifically for homeowners who maintain property insurance coverage. The second proposal was much more aggressive and proposed gradually eliminating many homestead property taxes altogether. Throughout the regular legislative session, these proposals created a tug of war between the House and the Senate. The House wanted meaningful tax relief. The Senate wanted answers. Specifically, the Senate wanted to know where cities and counties would find billions of dollars to replace the lost revenue. Which, again, that was the big argument. A lot of my customers would say that to me. Yeah, it sounds good to get rid of property taxes, but what would happen on the local level? Because while everyone likes paying lower taxes, somebody still has to pay for police departments, fire departments, emergency services, roads, traffic lights, parks, and local government operations. By the time the regular session ended in March, neither side could reach an agreement. The property tax bills stalled. Many people assumed the issue was dead for the year, but then something unexpected happened. Governor Ron DeSantis called a special session in early June, specifically to revisit the property tax issue, and that changed everything. CSHJR 1F, the new property tax amendment. During the June special session, lawmakers consolidated multiple proposals into a single constitutional amendment called CSHJR 1F. The official title is the Save Our Homes from Excessive Property Taxes Amendment. And this proposal is now headed to Florida voters in November 3rd, 2026, in general election. Now, this is important because it changes Florida's constitution. Voters must approve it with at least 60% support before it takes effect. So this conversation is far from over in many ways. It is just the beginning. Now, before anyone starts calculating huge savings, there is an important detail. To break the deadlock between the House and the Senate, lawmakers created what many are calling the school tax carve-out. The enhanced exemption would not apply to school district taxes. The existing school exemption structure would remain in place. And I agree with that. Schools need to be funded. In simple terms, homeowners would effectively have two different systems: a larger exemption for local government taxes and a smaller exemption for school taxes. This compromise helped move the proposal forward because many lawmakers were concerned about school funding. Just like a lot of, I think the general public is very concerned about school funding. One of the most debated sections of the amendment involves new Florida residents. If approved, individuals establishing Florida residency after December 31st, 2026 would not immediately qualify for the enhanced exemption. Instead, they would initially receive a more limited $50,000 exemption, then would need to maintain Florida residency for 5 consecutive years before qualifying for the larger exemption. Supporters argue this rewards long term Florida residents. Critics argue it creates different classes of homeowners. Regardless of where someone stands politically, this provision is generating a lot of discussion. And I suspect we will continue hearing about it all the way through Election Day. The amendment doesn't only affect homeowners, it also includes provisions for commercial properties, vacation homes, and rental properties. Currently, many non-homestead properties are protected by a 10% annual assessment increase cap. The proposed amendment would reduce that cap to 5%. The goal is to prevent local governments from shifting the entire tax burden onto businesses and rental property owners. Supporters believe this creates balance. Critics argue it further reduces local government revenue. As with many issues in Tallahassee, there are passionate opinions on both sides. And if you thought the legislative fight was intense, the legal fight is already underway, of course. On June 11th, a lawsuit was filed challenging the ballot language. This lawsuit does not challenge the tax cuts themselves. Instead, it argues that the wording voters will see on the ballot is potentially misleading. The case is currently moving through the court system. Depending on the outcome, voters could ultimately see revised ballot language in November. This is something we will continue monitoring closely. Now let's shift to Bill HB 1343. This bill may not generate flashy headlines. It may not create dramatic television interviews, of course, but I believe it could have one of the most positive long-term impacts on our industry. Once implemented, Florida high schools will be able to offer a half credit elective course in insurance and personal finance. Students who complete the course will earn academic credit and satisfy the pre-licensing education requirement for a 440 customer service representative license. As someone who hires, trains, and develops insurance professionals, I think this is a tremendous opportunity. Our industry has a workforce challenge. Many experienced insurance professionals are approaching retirement. Meanwhile, many young people have no idea about insurance careers, which can provide excellent career opportunities. This program creates a pathway, and frankly, if I had known about insurance careers in high school, it might have saved me years of figuring out what to do. So what this also does is it creates an opportunity for a young person to get this license and not, for free, get the pre-licensing course for free while they're in high school instead of having to get out of high school, go take the course and pay for it. They get to take it in high school for free. I think this is a win-win for us in the insurance professional space. Pet insurance reform. Another bill that passed this session was the Pet Insurance Act. Pet insurance continues to grow in popularity as veterinarian costs increase, just like everything else that's increasing. This legislation creates stronger disclosure requirements and improves consumer transparency. Agents selling pet insurance will also face additional training requirements. The goal is simple. Consumers should understand what is covered, what is excluded, and how benefits work before they purchase a policy. That sounds like common sense. But sometimes common sense needs legislation to make sure it happens consistently. And we do sell pet insurance here at our agency. Now, we all saw this one coming. PIP repeal fails again. It's just this bill, PIP reform can never get through. And now let's talk about a bill that seems to make an appearance every year. Every year. PIP repeal. For viewers who may not know, Florida operates under a no-fault system that includes personal injury protection coverage. Every year, and I mean every year, lawmakers debate whether to repeal it. And every year, the debate becomes more complicated. This year was no different. The biggest disagreement centered around medical coverage limits and concerns about affordability. Ultimately, lawmakers could not reach a consensus, so once again, Florida remains a no-fault state. At this point, PIP repeal has become the legislative equivalent of a television series that keeps getting renewed for another season. As we wrap up part one, here's the big takeaways. Part one of our legislative recap, because we did not do this right after the legislation session, which I'm happy we kind of didn't, because we got to incorporate some of the special session stuff too. The legislative session may be over, but several important issues are far from settled. Property taxes are now headed to voters. Workforce development is moving forward. Pet insurance protections are expanding, and Florida's no-fault system remains intact. Next week in part two, we will discuss the bills that affect insurance companies, claims handling, litigation transparency, and market stability. Some of these changes take effect July the 1st, and they could influence how claims are handled and how insurers operate for years to come. If today's quick bite helped you understand what happened with the property tax discussion and the workforce bills that passed this session, that is the goal. Insurance legislation affects the industry in ways most people never see until it reaches their premium. If you would like to review your policies or request a quote, please visit our website, isaminsurancegroup.com, which again is below me on the screen. Preparation always beats regret. If you found this episode helpful, please like this video, share it with someone who owns property or insures a business or insures autos in Florida, and drop a comment below. If you think the high school insurance course is a good idea, drop that in the comments. Also, drop any comments, now that we're back, drop any comments of any topics you would like for me to discuss. Quick Bite episodes will now drop every Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Doing 3 a week was just a little bit much for me, you guys. So now I'm only going to drop them once a week on Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern. And never forget, this video is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as legal, tax, or specific insurance advice. Please consult a licensed insurance professional regarding your unique situation. This is Rashonda with the ISOM Insurance Group here in sunny Florida. Thank you for watching. I will see you next Saturday for part 2 of our legislation recap. Stay safe out there. Bye.
Thank you for watching. Visit us at isaminsurancegroup.com.